I'd always looked at screenshots of Princess Tomato and just kind of laughed. I mean, it's clearly a game for babies. But I was told by numerous sources that no NES playthrough was complete without it, so... Okay, many growing seasons ago, there was a place where vegetables lived happily in harmony. One day, Minister Pumpkin betrayed King Broccoli. He kidnapped Princess Tomato and stole the turnip. Oh, for the love of cucumbers. Okay, keep pressing on, blah 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 blah. Oh, here we are, time to play... Wait, this is an adventure game? I love adventure games! In the 90s I was a massive fan of the Sierra games, especially Space Quest, and later the LucasArts ones. This is kind of like them. It actually reminds me of an old Apple II game that we used to have in primary school called Transylvania. Wow, I haven't thought of that game in years. Anyway, I'm playing Princess Tomato today. Yay! It's pretty straightforward. You've got all of your commands on either side of the action screen. Not that there's ever really any action in that action screen. Anyway, at the start of the game you get a travel companion called Baby Percy. Occasionally he's worth having around for the hints he gives, but mostly he's just annoying. The rest is the usual adventure game fare. Get items, use items, talk to people, get information, buy stuff, etc, etc, etc. Princess Tomato isn't one of the best games on the system, but I found it to be a kind of guilty pleasure in a world that's been starved of good adventure games. The plot and the characters are embarrassingly goofy, and it's not the kind of game that you'd admit to playing, but time hasn't stopped it from being, well, at least what it set out to be. I'll go out on a limb and say that it stands, since I can't think of any other 8-bit adventure games to compare it to. This is one I'd heard about for decades, and I'm stoked to be finally able to play it. The whole, hey dudes, look how funky and totally hip we are thing seems forced, especially now that we're well and truly out of the early 90s. Sega was just trying way too hard to be cool. I hope there's a decent game in here. The in-game graphics aren't very good for a Mega Drive game. The animation on the characters is actually pretty woeful. I suppose it's forgivable since it is an early game, but it doesn't change the fact that it's just pretty ugly to look at. One thing I will grant TOEJAM and Earl, it's certainly original. Can't say I played many other games like it. I'm guessing this would probably be one of the first console games ever to have randomly generated levels. Now, we're led to believe that TOEJAM and Earl crash landed on Earth, but, well, the Earth I know isn't made up of islands floating in space with presents lying around in random positions, not to mention hula girls and fat ladies with shopping trolleys that... Okay, you know what? This game is just weird. Your aim is to find the 10 scattered pieces of TOEJAM and Earl's spaceship, complete with wicked subwoofer, so that they can travel home. Not the most original plot, but I suppose it works. I think this game would probably be more fun in 2-player mode, which I didn't get the chance to try. As a 1-player game, it's passable, but it gets old pretty fast. I remember playing a game called Dark Chronicle on PS2, which I really enjoyed, but my one criticism was, by giving it randomly generated dungeons, it made them all seem bland, since there was no real design. I get a similar feeling with TOEJAM and Earl. It's fun for a little while, and it gets kind of monotonous, so I'll say it sits. Right, so there's a guy and his frog, then the frog runs away and touches the radioactive waste that was sitting in the driveway. I told you to get rid of that, Grandma! The frog turns into a giant mutant, buries itself underground. The boy follows it, probably breaks his leg because he didn't look before he left, and then realised that the cave gnomes must have left behind a tank for him to drive. Yay! This has got to be one of the stupidest plots in all video game history. Luckily, it doesn't really have any bearing on the game itself. There's no denying it, Blaster Master is great! There's a really strong Metroid vibe in the exploration and the lonely subterranean environments. And whenever the boy jumps out of his tank and goes inside a building, it changes into this overhead shooter, which reminds me a bit of Robo Warrior, only much better. The controls are really good. The little tank has a good weight to it, and even though there's lots of things ready to attack you, health upgrades are fairly common, so it's not too difficult. It's not really easy either, it's just the right amount of challenge. Apart from the stupid story and ugly box art, seriously, who puts 8-bit graphics on the cover? Blaster Master is a genuine NES classic. I was absolutely loving it until... this boss. Look at it. I cannot kill it. I tried and tried, but I can't do it. Then I had a brainwave. I could leave the level and go exploring until I'd filled up my gun meter, making my shots go further and be more powerful, so I did that. Then I came back to the boss room ready to kick some giant crab butt. Wait, what? The room's empty. Where's the boss? So you're telling me the boss is gone? And I need to beat the boss to get any further in the game, so I have no choice but to reset and start all over again. Do you know what I say to that? Suffice to say that I didn't progress any further in Blaster Master. Hopefully one day when my fury has subsided, I might be convinced to go back and try again. For now, that stupid boss is a deal breaker.
So here's this giant enemy crab, and you attack its weak point for massive damage.
I can't mark the game down for that though, because the rest of it's just so awesome. It's such a shame though that there's probably more awesome levels beyond that boss that I might never see now. Next week, 3 classics that people still talk about today. Looking forward to it. Peace out.